Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has grown at a crazy rate these past 20 years. BJJ Globetrotters is an organization that hosts training camps all over the world with thousands of participants from all walks of life. I'm Stevie Antonio, a filmmaker from Sweden. In 2019, I got the chance to follow Christian Grogart and the other organizers behind the scenes for 1 full year and 12 camps. This is the story.
Hands up, hands up. Why they trash to the chore on my list?
You know, at one of the kind of very early camps, someone said to me after the camp, someone messaged me and said they had the best week of their entire life. And I remember I wrote this down at some point. What if I can do that at every single camp? Or what if I can do that for 100 people? Or maybe 1,000 people? Or what if 10,000 people say they had the time of their life because of something I did, something I created out of nothing? What would happen? I'm not sure if we're ever gonna live a year like this again, ever. We're driving through the Alps, and there's a lot of snow this year. Heading to the hotel for the camp and try to set everything up. First camp of the season, first camp of the year. It's just New Year's yesterday, so it'll be nice to kick off the season with a wild week here and a lot of snow. 110 people signed up, and most of them are going to do skiing and snowboarding lessons as well, but a lot of them just come for the training and for the social aspect. So it'll be an interesting start of the season for sure, and a very, very cold one, especially compared to the other camps we're going to do during the year. You're trying to figure out what's happening. You're looking through that tiny hole. This is the 5th year we're doing the winter camp in Austria, and it was actually the first camp we ever did that was not in Copenhagen, where I used to live. We started out doing summer camps in my gym in Copenhagen, and then I was looking for an excuse to go snowboarding, just to get great selfies. And this one guy randomly messaged me and said he lives in Austria, and he was a snowboard instructor. If I wanted to do something in Austria, that would be cool. And this was like very, very early in the Globetrotters kind of timeline. Globetrotters didn't really kind of exist at that point, but I was like, sure, let's try to do something, because we'd done quite many successful camps in Copenhagen, at least like a handful, and I had kind of like fantasized about doing something outside of Copenhagen, but not sure if it would ever work. But this guy, he said like, let me help you, and we talked back and forth, and we found this place in the Alps. I was like, fuck, let's do it. And this was this was probably, yeah, it was the first camp outside of Copenhagen, and maybe camp number 6 or 7, something like that, not even. And it was a train wreck. It was like a fucking nightmare. For some reason, this camp turned into being like a competition in who can have the absolute wildest 4 days of their lives. And we had nothing under control. Like the mats was a nightmare. We had to pick them up from 3 different little judo clubs around like small towns in between the Alps. We had like two transportation companies help us out with trucks. And we didn't have anyone to help us carry the mats. We thought, oh, we're just gonna put the mats in the trucks, and that took like 8 hours of work the first day. We're exhausted. And the management at the hotel, which was not the place where we're gonna go right now, that management just absolutely hated us. I don't know, they were not very, very friendly in any way. It was a train wreck, and it was just non-stop party and snowboarding and rolling, and it was probably like apart from, I was in a hurricane 1 year ago, the biggest hurricane in recorded history in the Caribbean. Apart from that, that's probably the only other time where I literally thought I was gonna die. That was the first winter camp. I mean, everybody loved it. It was a great experience for myself, but if I compare it to how the camps run now, 4 years later, at Camp 41 today, it's like night and day.
I can't believe that worked out.
How are you? Hi, man. Nice to meet you. Christian. Hey, welcome. I've got this old, like, 8 years old idea book of to-do list. Things I just thought would be cool to do in my life. And it's like 50 pages. But one of them just says rent a castle.
I was like, that's so perfect. That's exactly what I'd expect you to be driving.
I even remember there was some study about what is it that makes people most happy in life. And like the top thing out of all things was like slow dinner with friends. So I had this fantasy that I wanted to, rent a castle, bring some friends, have great dinners, lots of wine and good conversations. The camps kind of became the vehicle to make that idea happen. And I thought I would give it a shot. I have some people working on this, and one of them, I gave her the task of researching all castles you could possibly find. They were for rent anywhere in the world, and we have this amazing spreadsheet of 115 castles with so many details on each of them, like exactly how many beds, what kind of beds, how many square meters of flat area they have, and like how far they are from the airports, and very quickly you cut out a lot of them that doesn't work for a camp. So we boiled that down to like 10 maybe castles and maybe 5 good ones, 5 good candidates. And I pretty much called up every single castle on the list, and I ended up with 2 castles that I really wanted to do. And one of them was this one. I called them up and they were so excited. They were like, this is the coolest idea ever. Let's get on Skype. And we had like a Skype video call for like 2 hours just talking about we should get this and this dinners and we can get this. And they were so excited, and they already had beautiful pictures from here. So I was like, let's go for it. Let's try it out. And funny enough, like the people who signed up, like almost every one of them were old friends, like in terms of they've been to so many camps. So we actually ended up with exactly what I hoped for. A week in a castle with the slow dinners with friends. And the other castle on the list, we're going there in 2 months. I had to do 2 castles this year. I feel like some of the best travel experience I ever had was like crazy contrast going from one weird place to the other. So I've been trying to recreate this with the camps. So now we go directly from a castle in Italy to Estonia. Let's go. So sometimes in this like wild ride of camps and wild things, I kind of forget like how we ended up here, and I have to kind of remind myself sometimes, because at some point I kind of put it all in a book. I wrote a book about it to forget it, and I closed the book and I never opened it since. So I spent almost 10 years just doing nothing but training jiu-jitsu and going out and competing and training and drinking, eating, sleeping, nothing else. Like for a good 10 years, that's all I did. When I quit my office job, I just started living as a jiu-jitsu bum, and I did nothing but just train. Jiu-jitsu, MMA, 6 days a week for 10 years and nothing else. We did nothing else. And of course, when you do that, you kind of, you manage to create a group of friends that are kind of, you do nothing but train every day together, and you know, you create some kind of bond when you go through hardship together. I've never been to the military, but I guess if you've been to war with someone, or even if you fought MMA with someone, something happens, or you've done something difficult. And obviously we had a big group of friends, like super good friends who trained every day. And I still see all of them today. And then there's one of them, was a friend of mine. We lived very close to each other, so we always took the bus together because I had no money, so and it was cold. So we took the bus to training. It was like a half-an-hour bus ride, and we always talked about, like, he was studying philosophy and he was like deep into like philosophical stuff. And we talked a lot for years on the bus, and always kind of, after training, we always kind of waited for the bus together in the rain and the cold. And I always knew that he was like, he had a bit of a depression in some sense. But never to the point where, it's also difficult to talk to people about like really talk to people about if they're like lonely or depressed or whatever. But anyway, he would kind of come and go, like most people do in training. And sometimes he'd be gone for like 6 months and do nothing but play poker online. And but he would always come back. Like, he was always like a big smile on his face. I know he'd always be back one day just out of the blue after a few months, and then he would train like his ass off for 1 year and compete with us. And at some point, I hadn't seen this guy for maybe 6 months or something, but we still kind of talk now and then. It was like, it's not like he was out of the picture. Like anyone else who just gets injured or something, or, you know, has a big exam or something, they might disappear from training, but kind of training goes on and life goes on, and you just kind of keep going. And one day I come to the gym in the morning like I always did, and someone called me and said like, Frank is dead. Out of the blue. I never expected it, but so he had been going out the night before, and we've been going out almost every single weekend for like years and years. And for some reason, to still this day, nobody knows. He had been like, people had seen him like screaming and shouting in the center of town, and he'd broken into like a dormitory or something, and walked up to the 5th floor, kicked in the door to some poor girl who lived there in a small dorm room. He didn't know, he'd never been there before apparently, and talked to her about like, the world is ending, we're at war, like we have to fight, the world is ending. Like it makes absolutely zero sense, rambling, weird stuff. And then she was like super scared, but tried to calm him down, and she turned around to try to call 911 or something. And he jumped out the window, just like that, 5th floor, in the middle of the main pedestrian street in Copenhagen. And he died right there, in the arms of a policewoman. Sometimes it's like, especially guys, you know, we just train, you know? That's what we do. Something is difficult, let's go hunt an animal, you know? Let's make fire. That's what we did. We were like 25 or something. I was like, shit, I'm young. He was young. He probably wanted to do all kinds of things in life. I knew he would because he had big ambitions. And I was like, shit, if you can die at 25, I was thinking, I'll probably soon get a job and like save up for retirement. Then I'll travel when I'm 65 and see the world. And since I was very, very young, I always had 3 things I wanted to do in life. I wanted to live in a place that made me happy every day. I wanted to create something that mattered, and I wanted to see the world. Those were the 3 things I always wanted. It's like a kick in the face. Out of the blue, one of my best friends just died. Like that, just died. He didn't have time to do anything. And the clock is ticking, you know? And as I said, probably very much like a classic case of fear of missing out suddenly. I'm in a hurry. I cannot waste a second of my life. Not a day, not a second. Not a week can go by where I'm not doing anything. So I started running from ordinary life. I've been running ever since, I guess. And I feel like I have to do something unique with my life. I have 2 options, personally. If I want to get the most out of every single second of my life, I can consume my way to my reality and my life and experiences and my memories, or I can create it. Those are the 2 options. I can take something that someone else did, or I can make something. And to really create something unique with my time, I have to create it myself. So I keep creating things, and this really started to happen after I lost him. No one else is creating a special life for me. And I'm gonna die one day. It could be tomorrow, it could be when I'm 100 years old. But I have to take that responsibility in my own hands to create my reality and my life and my memories. And at the end of this whole thing, what matters? It doesn't matter how much money you have in your account. It's memories and friendships. Those are the only thing that matters, ever. Looking back at everything we created for the last many years, is every single like memory or like great experience, like lifetime experience, every single friendship, every single person I've met that really mattered to me happened because I created something myself. I went out there and built it. not that this necessarily is a bad thing for everyone, but I was like falling into super hardcore depression when I worked in an office and kind of saw how my route in life was just set. I could see exactly where I was going because those guys were sitting next to me, like 20 years older. It's like, oh, 20 years I'm gonna be that guy. Yeah. I was like really depressed and scared about it. And I'm like, I have to break out of this. I was probably fairly good at my job, but I always had a sense of, I'm just faking it. I really don't know what I'm doing. I just pretend I know what I'm doing, and then I play like table foosball after lunch as much as possible every day, and then I'm on like jiu-jitsu forums, and then I do a little bit of work. I'm like, one day they're gonna figure me out. I'm gonna get fired. What am I gonna do? I have never went to school or anything. I was so scared, like really scared. I couldn't see any way out of it. I was like, I'm stuck. This is what I have to do because, of course, I bought an apartment and took a loan, owed a lot of money. So I had to work. How am I gonna pay for the apartment? And what about the car I want soon? Once you're in that world, you don't think anything else exists. I kind of dreamt about maybe I can go backpacking, work on a laptop or something. Like, nah. Nobody does that, because we're all in an office, right? And have debt and stuff. But later on I realized, if you just can walk into any hostel anywhere in like Thailand or something, there's like 100 people here who don't have a job. That's not what they do. They don't follow that thing. I mean, I quit my job more than 15 years ago, like my real job. And then I just started living off nothing. I started the gym and we started to have a little income, and I jumped the ship to the gym and I sold everything. I owned nothing. I sold my apartment, debt-free. I never took up a single year of debt ever since. The guy who built Walmart, which is one of the biggest business successes in the world, like you're not gonna get more rich than this guy. Like it doesn't happen. You're never gonna build a business that size. Is he successful from the point of view of society? Absolutely. He had everything. He had all the mansions, everything, private jets, everything he wanted. He could do whatever he wanted. When he was dying, I think it was one of his last interviews or something, he said that he regretted everything. He did everything wrong. And this is someone who made it. Right? And this guy said, I did everything wrong. I wish I could do it all over and just spend time with my kids instead, with my family. You can work your entire life to try and achieve something, and then what did you actually achieve if you didn't do what you want to do? So Stevie, you ready for a walk down this little hill?
Always ready.
Sign says 2 hours, but I'm not sure who made that sign. It's kind of weird. I've been coming here for 5 years in the winter and then see it in the summer. It's so different. Like a completely different world here. And this camp was a bit of an experiment in terms of, it was the first camp where we attempted inviting families and having like kids classes, and I had no idea how that was going to work out, but so far so good. Is it running?
It's filming, yeah.
So now I'm behind the camera. I just want to see if Stevie gets electrocuted. Next. We were here just 6 months ago for the winter camp. It looked kind of different than now. Last summer I spent 2 weeks here just on a holiday. I was like, damn, I have to come back, but I can't possibly squeeze more camps into the schedule. But then again, the usual thing happened, and I'm like, okay, I can do one more. And I knew it was going to be kind of a small camp, and it was the first time ever we tried to invite like families to join in, and we have like family rooms for if someone brings kids, they get their own room and bathroom and stuff. And I feel like it's worked out really well, and like if nothing else, this place is just absolutely insane. Like the sceneries are, I don't even know, probably one of the prettiest places I've seen ever. This is a super intense period of the year. because we're doing how many camps in? Is it like 7 camps in 2 months or something?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, when I sit at home and I look at the schedule, it's going, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I can go home for 4 days to the Caribbean and then go back again, and then do that again, go back home and then go back to Europe again. Yeah, I'll just sleep in the plane and watch a movie. And when I'm in it, it's like, but obviously no complaints. It's been super fun. And now we're kind of in the middle of it. We're going to Iceland in 10 days after this. And then the big fucking huge camp in Heidelberg, Germany. The 50th camp. So yeah, this is kind of a wild summer. We got this one and then 2 more, and then we can rest for a few months before Poland.
Mjolnir, do you know this place?
Mjolnir? Yeah. Okay. Are you going kung fu fighting?
Yes, exactly. That's what we do. The welcome meeting is in 2 minutes. This is my camp number 48. I've done 48 welcome speeches, and I'm still fucking nervous every time. I have no idea what I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure it looks like I'm super confident at the welcome meeting, but the real story is that I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying. So this one only says food and party. You know, now it's like more than 10 minutes late, and I used to do a lot of really big MMA shows, and the most fucking difficult part was always to push the play button to get the train running. I just gotta do it. Everyone, move in a little bit, please. Welcome to the camp. Thanks for coming for the second Iceland camp. Just a little bit of practical information before we get started. been running around all morning, getting ready for this. And when I woke up this morning, I was so fucking excited. I was like a little kid, you know. I was like, put on some music, some epic Viking music. Like, shit, today we're gonna create something just absolutely wild. You know, I talked about getting this rush from creating things, and I think today's the day. Some of the Vikings just arrived. It's gonna be a good one. Vikings versus tourists.
This is the 50th camp. It's kind of weird to think back. I was just doing a podcast interview with one of the guys who's been there since the beginning. And it's kind of weird to think back 50 camps. There's so many experiences. As he said, like that's more than a full year of back-to-back camps, non-stop. And thinking of it like that is pretty wild. And I try to think back on all the camps. And some things kind of stick out, but it's also just one big blur of emotion than it is of like single memories of things that happened. It's just like a lot of excitement and nervousness and happiness and moments. I think to have done 50 camps is kind of wild. And I have no idea if this is close to the beginning or close to the end. But I think doing this documentary at this point, that's a really important thing in the sense that I've been wanting to kind of document this in a way for a long time, talk about it, because there's a lot of thoughts behind it. It's not just like rolling and flying. I mean, I think a lot about these things, and I've been wanting to document it in one way or the other. I wrote a book before about another trip, but that was before I started doing these camps, and I feel like I lived a lifetime since I finished that book. But I really don't want to write another book, so this was a very unique chance to document what I think is a very special time in my life, and maybe also a lot of other people's lives. I mean, this year has been, I don't even know if I can ever live a year like this again. I don't know. I don't know what it would take. We're gonna try again next year, but I'm not sure. I mean, we set the bar so high, and at some point there's just a natural limit for how much stuff you can do in a year, and how many crazy things you can pull off, and how many places you can go. How are we gonna beat it? So I think this might have been the exact right year to do it. Like having done this for many years, and not saying that it's necessarily going to be worse or less intense, but what I hope with this project is to kind of capture this moment, this special moment where I think we really pushed the limits for how many experiences you can do. Unless, if, of course, you have unlimited money or something like that. But with what we have to work with at this point, I think we maxed out on what you can do in a year. And I want to remember it. I want to remember this. And I want to pass it on. I think if we can kind of capture that inspirational kind of moment and pass that on, that could definitely give some value. So someone had the idea of having a live band for the open mat this Saturday for the final open mat, and I don't know why, but I signed up to play drums. So I haven't played drums in 25 years, so we'll see how that goes. And it's pretty much just like 12 people from around the world who doesn't really know each other, never played music together before, and we got two days of 2 hours each to practice 8 tracks and play them on Saturday for the open mat. So we're heading there right now.
Or you can just count in, and then it's be one and. So count in 1, 2, 3, 4.
Was it at the karaoke last year? Pub crawl. Someone was super drunk and said, like, yeah, we should do a live band next year. I was like, yeah, sure, that's gonna happen. And then Kevin took the initiative, and I think it's totally worked out.
It's not fucking shit, Christian.
It's not shit. It's not shit. That's what I'm saying. I'm really surprised how it worked out. And give it up for Crossface.
What are you doing, Christian? This is the first time you're wearing a tie?
I'm trying to find out how to do this. What's it even called? Winds or not?
Windsor.
Half. God damn it.
No idea.
Full or half? Damn. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try this stuff. Yes. Wait, what do you do?
Wide end front. So it's a nut that's really suitable.
You have to let the limo driver open the door.
What do you think, sir?
fuck is this? You need to get your camera out.
It is out. It's recording.
If I want to make something happen, or if I want to improve it, or if I want to pull something off that's a little bit insane, the best technique for me is to just take advantage of fear of public humiliation. So if I tell people we're going to do this most insane documentary of the year, we're going to have a huge premiere, you know, it's going to be the biggest thing ever, I'm going to fly Stevie around the world for a full year, and if I really tell people it's going to be something wild, all I have to do is just kind of step back, step out of my body, and observe myself execute it with no like holding back. And the ideas just come up, you know, like the ways to improve it and make it happen just kind of happens. As soon as I set myself up for that possible failure, then fear of public humiliation takes over and I just do it. I mean, it's no different than telling you that we're gonna make the best film ever. For me, it's been like an absolutely necessary goal to try and build a life where my work is doing whatever I want. And I wouldn't say luck because it's been hard work. I cannot imagine any other job ever because my job is literally just to come up with things that I think would be really fun and just do that. That is the job description, and that's also the job description for everyone who works for me, you know. And for Katla, I said, okay, Katla, your job is literally just to come up with the things that you think would be the most fun, stupid, like crazy things to do, and then we do it. That is the product. That's what I've kind of been aiming for a long, long time, and I think that's totally possible I mean, if I can do it, I'm not a super genius, I don't know, something professor. I don't think I did anything unique. I don't think I did anything special. I think it was kind of easy. You know what would be difficult for me? To go to school and a university to study and read books for 7 years and write reports. I could never do that. That would be 100 times more difficult for me than to do what I've done. Because everything I've done so far has just been fun. Yeah, I definitely feel like I retired many years ago. Even though I work every day, it never feels like work. Katla was pretty much just at the right place at the right time. I think she just moved to Copenhagen, had no money. Like, I did a camp there, and she messaged me like, can I help you with anything for the camp maybe? And I was like, yeah, not really. We have a pretty good crew of people working. But I was like, my philosophy with the camps have always been to try and involve as many people as I possibly could. It might not make a lot of sense in the short run, but
any single person you run into could potentially change your life. That's like what I live by. And so whenever there's an opportunity to involve someone, I always try as much as I can. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, come by and help out with some things. And turned out she was pretty much perfect for the job. And she loves going to the camps, and she's really efficient at everything. She have a lot of good ideas. I used to have like one assistant for every camp. It's because I just wanted to involve some friends from wherever we were going. But it was also like every camp I needed to train the same person to do the same thing all the time. And it was a little bit much, you know, like, and there was a lot of inconsistency in how things were running. So I thought, hey, Katla, why don't you come to more camps? And she ended up going to every single camp. And then eventually she finished her studies. And I thought, there's no need for you to have a 9-to-5 job, because then you won't have time to travel all the time for 12 camps a year. So I offered her like a part-time job to begin with. And she's just like becoming an idea machine and an execution machine too. Like just pulling off crazy projects that I would never have time to do myself. So that's a part of the whole Globetrotters machine that's really been growing. And she's doing a lot of great things, like renting hostels for this camp. She's renting 2 full hostels, and she rented buses for 100 people for Iceland to do sightseeing, and just a ton of good ideas. And she's responsible for power shopping for every camp, just buying fun things for everyone, like sunglasses and inflatable flamingos. And she's doing like big shopping lists and coming up with ideas. So I'm very happy to have her on board, and hopefully within a short time she'll be able to do this full time.
Most of these things in the combat sports and arts, you have to learn the rules so you can break them. In boxing, you learn to keep your hands up at all fucking times. All times. As soon as you learn the rule, you get to drop your hands. But if you don't learn that rule, you will never be a good boxer. But I was gonna say, thanks, Christian, for his camp and everything that you have done to help spread, as best can be done, politics-free jiu-jitsu.
Welcome to St. Bart, to the Caribbean Island camp. This is actually the last camp of the season. People just arrived, and now we're gonna get in the cars and get up on the hill for a little panoramic open map. All I have to do to motivate myself to do something crazy or something that's really difficult is watch like documentaries on the universe and time. Once you realize how insanely unimportant we are in this place and how much time has passed in the universe and even of mankind,
once you realize how little you matter in the world and in time and in the universe, and how infinitely small every individual is in this place. Once I admit to myself that nothing makes sense, then the only thing that makes sense is to do whatever the fuck I want. If I see the big picture, if I watch documentaries about space and time, then I'm like, damn, I don't matter at all. So I just better do whatever I want right now. We did this camp in February, and the boat trip was probably the wildest one we've ever done in our lives. And the moment we came back, we were like, oh shit, Stevie is coming in November to film it, we have to one-up it. So, hold on.
Burn that shit up.
So, going back to the story of my friend Frank, after he died,
I'm thinking that my friend missed out on life. I feel like I should have stopped it somehow. We talked every day for years, and I definitely had like a suspicion that he was not maybe he was lonely, probably, when he was not in the gym at least. I kind of blame myself for not catching the signals and not doing anything about it. But of course, I never thought that would happen. After he had died, we talked to all of his friends, kind of talked to his family and his sister, and they cleaned up his place and they found a lot of things. And there was one thing they found in his drawer, which was written 10 years before he jumped out the window. And I don't know if we're going to use it or not, but actually I'm going to read it. It's a weird translation because it was in Danish. It's an accident that I lie here. It happened so violently, so stupidly. If only I had known it was today, it could be today. I admire the terminally ill who wait and wait and wait. I wish I had time like them. I wish I'd had time to live my life, to prepare for death. Learn to love in the summer and in the night. Meaning, as I had created it, disappeared when I was forced to pick up death. A flash of white light and my trained body was annihilated. It was never essential. I can still enjoy life as I see it. I laugh at my worst nightmare of my destruction. I do not care. So, I had pretty much known him for all that time, and he had that memo on his desk, and I didn't know. Yeah. So I also wonder who else feels like this and nobody knows. You know? Anyone else I know? Or... So I guess maybe that's also why I try to create a lot of positive things for people as much as I can. I cannot be a psychologist for anyone, but maybe I can give people something positive through friendships, memories, experiences. Yeah, something fun. So you don't get stuck in a small apartment alone, depressed and not telling anyone. So after he had died, I decided to do something extreme because anything that's not extreme is not special. You know? So I'm like, what can I do? I'm gonna go around the world. I'm just gonna walk the whole world and see what happens. And in my best fear of missing out, like state of mind, it was the most intense thing I've ever done. Just like move. Can't miss out on anything. This has to be wilder, faster, more intense, more people, more memories, more experiences. Cannot miss out on anything. And it's kind of cliche to say, but I definitely found myself. One thing that's 100% sure is that the person I was when I left was not the same person that came back. I don't even recognize the person when I think about it. It was almost like traveling through a wormhole in a way. It's like when you do one full trip around the world, you're never coming back. There's no way back. That changed me completely. There was the single most important decision I've ever done, the single most important creation I've ever done in my life, was to run and just never look back. I don't even want to think about how my life would have been today if I had not done that. That is a prime example of creating my own reality. And it completely changed everything. Even when I came back home 6 months later, I was so high on life and people and friendships, and I would say love in a way, from the people I just met and just seeing the whole world like that. It really felt like I had the entire world in my hands, like unstoppable. There's nothing I couldn't do. Like I could go wherever I want. I could meet people anywhere, pick up adventure everywhere I went. Like, doesn't matter where on earth I would randomly walk into a jiu-jitsu gym or anywhere else. I would meet people that would become my best friends, and I would have experiences I would remember on my deathbed. And I had this feeling like I'm unstoppable. I can do whatever the fuck I want. This is my life and I can create it. I had a sense that this is possible. I can do whatever I want with my life, and I can do something special. That kind of turned into Globetrotters, and Globetrotters is kind of almost like a physical manifestation of my fear of missing out on life. That is what it is. You know, like when you walk through a big city and you see all the big skyscrapers, they're not real, you know. They're just physical manifestations of corporations, of money. It's not like people live there or anything. It's not like anyone's home, really. In the same way, like Globetrotters as an organism is kind of a manifestation of my ultimate fear of missing out on life. So that's why we're here today. And that's why it can never stop.
think it was a quarter past, and there you were. You said, you know I need you, help me say the word. Ooh, I'm moving in closer, I know I'm coming for you. I'm getting ready, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, ooh, I'm getting even closer. I'm boy coming for you. Ready, ready, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, coming for you. Coming for you. Yeah, coming for you. Coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, coming for you. Coming for you. Coming for you. Coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby. Ooh, I'm moving in closer. You know I'm coming for you. I'm getting ready, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, ooh, I'm getting even closer. I'm coming for you. Ready or not, I'm coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, coming for you. Coming for you. Coming for you. Coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby, coming for you. Listen, baby. Coming for you. Coming for you. Coming, I'm coming, I'm coming. Ooh, baby. Reboot, I'm cold red, my service automated, like data running through my veins. Got you distracted, subconscious overloaded. Careful, don't pull the cord on me. No time to stay around. Keep walking till you get out of my face. Regrets, restricted access. I'm just a flight to get up in ya. We love is charging. I can't waste my time with someone slowing me down, 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 down. So high, I'm floating, I'm shining in my prime. Start rolling over 'cause you can't take my crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. My crown. I'll always be 10 feet off the ground. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. Can't take my crown. Rewind my circuits, but you don't get that courage, 'cause you can handle my game. No, my drive's a puzzle. I got you so bumfuzzled, 'cause you can